Some stories are not told to entertain, they are told to warn. Some journeys begin with love but end in loss. Not because love failed, but because control replaced love. This is KCA Production, and before we go further, I'd like to ask you to please kindly subscribe to KCA Production. Drop a comment in the comment section, and please share this video. This is the movie Blow by Blow, brought to you by KCA, and is inspired by true events. It explores obsession, jealousy, consequence, and the long road toward accountability. May this story remind us that love does not own, love does not cage, and love does not destroy. Again, this is KCA Production, and we're bringing to you the movie Blow by Blow. I'd like to ask you again to please subscribe to this channel for beautiful stories, entertainment, gist. Yes, let's get right straight into it. Blow by Blow. Some cities carry beauty like a promise, others carry memory like a warning. In this city, every street remembers something. Every corner has a story that refuses to stay buried. Here's the correctional facility where Daniel Kerr, a former newspaper editor, was. And the officer says to him, "Sign here and here. That's your release confirmation." Daniel signs, and his hand trembles slightly. "You know the conditions. Check-ins, no contact with the victim's family, no media statements without clearance." "I understand. Good luck out there." When a man leaves prison, he doesn't walk out free. He walks out carrying the weight of what he did and the silence of what can never be undone. Daniel says, I thought I would feel free. I don't. I feel exposed." He pulls his jacket tighter around himself. Later, he goes to a bus stop and he waits. A bus pulls up. He boards. People stare, not because they recognize him, because his stillness doesn't fit the noise of the bus. Students laugh, a woman talks loudly on her phone, a man sleeps. Daniel looks out the window as the city slides past. He was once a man who shaped stories. Now he's a story no one wants to read. A cramped, dimly lit room, one bed, one chair, small table, a cracked mirror on the wall. Daniel drops a small bag on the floor. He sits on the bed. He pulls out a folded photograph from his pocket. Lena Morris, early 30s, bright eyes, confident smile, his former fiancée. He stares at it. "I told you I couldn't live without you. You thought I was being poetic." Closes his eyes. Obsession rarely announces itself as danger. He wears the costume of love. He speaks the language of devotion until it becomes a prison for two. Next is the community hall. A modest hall, plastic chairs, and a banner. Second Chances Youth Talk Series. A social worker, Mrs. Dubé, mid-50s, warm but courteous, speaks with Daniel. "You'll be sharing your story today. No details that glorify violence. No blame shifting. We are here for accountability." "I know. I'm not here to make myself look good. You are here because some of these kids are angry, hurt, confused. If they hear how jealousy can ruin lives, Maybe they pause before making their own mistakes. If my story stops even one person from crossing the line, then at least something good comes from what I did. Moments later, teenagers filter in, some bored, some curious, some guarded. Daniel stands at the front, hands clasped and nervous. He says, "My name is Daniel Kerr. I used to be a newspaper editor. I used to think being in control meant being powerful. Now I know it meant I was afraid of losing what I thought was mine." Her mama moved through the room. From a teenage boy. "So why are you here?" "Because jealousy cost me everything, and it cost someone else her life." The room goes quiet. The truth, when spoken plainly, does not shout. It lands, it sits, it asks to be reckoned with. Flashback years earlier. Younger Daniel sits with Lena. They laugh, coffee cup, sunlight. A perfect moment. "Lena, you're always working. Someone has to run the world. Or you could just run your own art." Present day. It started small. Questions. Checking her phone. Asking where she'd been. Convincing myself it was concern. A girl in the audience frowns. "That's not love, that's control." "You're right, but I didn't know that then." Alright, the talk is over. Students leave, some look thoughtful, some shaken. Mrs. Dubé watches Daniel pack up. "You did well." It doesn't feel like enough. It never will, but it's a start. Daniel nods. Every tragedy begins as something beautiful. No one falls in love with a monster. They fall in love with a smile, with attention, but the feeling of being seen. Years back. From Lena. "So you're telling me you run a whole newsroom and still can't cook pasta?" "I can cook. I choose not to." "That's not the same thing." They laugh. Daniel gently bumps her shoulder. "Come on. Editor privileges. I get to be fed." "You're going to starve when I get tired of you." "That won't happen." He says this slightly, but there's a firmness to it that lingers a bit too long. They sit outside with drinks. Daniel's phone buzzes repeatedly. He ignores it. "You don't switch off, do you?" "I can switch off. I just don't like feeling irrelevant." "You're not irrelevant. You're just human." In a bustling newsroom, phones ringing, papers rustling, young journalists moving fast. Daniel commands the space with his. Journalist 1. "Editor, we are late on the political fixture." "Then you're early for the apology. Fix it." He turns, sees Lena standing awkwardly near the door, holding lunch. "Hey, what are you doing here?" "You skipped lunch again. I brought food." The room watches. Daniel smiles, proud. "Hey guys, this is Lena, my fiancée." "Hi." Labels can be love languages. They can also be quiet claims of ownership. From Lena. "Fiancé? Too soon?" "I didn't say no. I just didn't know would announce it to the world." "I like the world knowing you're with me." "Or you like the world knowing I'm yours." Later that night, Lena sits across from Daniel in a restaurant. She's dressed up, but is distracted. "You were supposed to be here an hour ago." "The city doesn't run on your schedule." "Neither do I." He looks up sharply. "What's that supposed to mean?" "It means I'm tired of waiting for you to choose me over everything else. I provide for us. I work for us. You work for your ego." The words sting. Daniel's jaw tightens. They walk out in silence. "You embarrassed me in there. I told you how I felt. You made me look small. That's not my job." When pride becomes the loudest voice in a relationship, truth becomes the enemy. "I think we need space." Daniel freezes. "Space?" "Just space to breathe." We're turning into people I don't recognize. There is nothing wrong with us. There's something wrong with how you hear me. You're overreacting. I'm finally reacting. She walks to the bedroom. Daniel stands alone in the living room. This is the moment obsession is born. When love hears no and translates it as loss of control. I thought if I held tighter, she wouldn't slip away. I didn't know tight hands suffocate. Daniel says to himself and closes his eyes. Again, years earlier, in Lena's apartment, the room is quiet, the kind of quiet that follows too many unsaid things. Lena stands near the window, looking out at the city lights of Cape Town. Daniel stands behind her, uncertain, his confidence thinning. I've been thinking about this for a while. That's never a good sentence. For you, maybe. For me, it's necessary. Lena turns to face Daniel. Her eyes are calm but resolved. I don't feel safe in this relationship anymore. The word safe eats Daniel harder than anger would. I've never hurt you. You don't have to touch someone to make them feel trapped. So now I'm trapping you? You monitor my time. You question my friends. You turn every disagreement into proof that I don't love you enough. That's not partnership. That's pressure. I can change. You said that before. This time I mean it. I believe you mean it. I just don't believe you know how. So what are you saying? I'm saying we should end this before we hurt each other more. You're throwing us away. I'm choosing myself. After everything I've done for you, love isn't a debt. Daniel laughs, brittle. So that's it? You just walk away? I've been walking on eggshells for months. This is me finally standing still. Entitlement grows where empathy is starved. Daniel storms out. The door closes behind him. He stands on the sidewalk, breathing hard. Anger mixing with panic. He pulls out his phone, types a message, deletes it, types again. Daniel goes to a bar and keeps wondering, is she seeing someone? He's with a friend, and he responds, why does it matter? You broke up. She broke up with me. That doesn't make her your responsibility anymore. Daniel's jaw tightens. Obsession thrives on unanswered questions. He feeds on imagined rivals. He grows strongest in silence. Later that night at Daniel's apartment, Daniel sits alone, lights off. The glow of his laptop illuminates his face. He watches old videos of Lena laughing. She laughed like that with me. She belongs in my life. He catches himself at the word belongs. No, she chose to live. She chose. The mind at war with itself is a dangerous place to live. Lena exits a small gallery, opening with friends. She's smiling, lighter than she has been in months. Across the street, Daniel stands in shadow. He didn't plan to be there, or so he tells himself. Obsession often disguises itself as coincidence. Daniel watches Lena laugh with a male friend. His chest tightens. He looks away, ashamed, then looks back. She's fine without me. The realization feels like a betrayal. Late night at Daniel's apartment, whispering to himself, I gave her everything. His phone buzzes. He receives a message from Lena, which says, please stop coming around my building. I need space. Daniel stares at the screen. The request feels like rejection, accusation, and abandonment all at once. Back to the community hall on the present day. Daniel stands before students years later. When she asked for space, I heard rejection. When she asked for safety, I heard accusation. I didn't know how to hear her without hearing myself first. Daniel remembers how he stands alone outside Lena's building. He turns away this time, walks, stops, turns back. The internal conflict plays across his face. Every tragedy is preceded by a moment where another choice was possible. Daniel finally walks away. Neon reflections shimmer on wet pavement. The city feels restless. Daniel walks alone, jacket pulled tight, mind loud with thoughts he can't quiet. When obsession loses its disguise, it often reveals itself in public, not as violence first, but as humiliation. Daniel stops outside a small restaurant. Through the window, he sees Lena seated with friends. She's laughing, alive, unburdened. The sight eats him like a quiet insult. He hesitates, then steps inside. The room is warm, buzzing. Conversations blow into background noise as Daniel approaches Lena's table. Daniel, what are you doing here? I just wanted to talk. Lena's friend responds saying, this isn't the place. Daniel, it's a public space. Lena, please, not here. Daniel notices the male friend beside Lena. His jaw tightens. Oh, so you moved on already? This isn't about you anymore. Everything was about me when you needed someone. The table goes quiet. Other diners glance over. Public spaces amplify private pain. What could have been a conversation becomes a performance. You're crossing a line. Daniel, you crossed it first. By leaving? Daniel, by replacing me. Lena stands. No one replaced you. You lost me. The words land. Daniel's face flushes with a mix of shame and fury. Lena's friend, you need to go. Daniel, you didn't have to do this to me. I didn't do this. You did. Later that night, at Daniel's apartment, Daniel thinks to himself, they saw me as the problem. She made me the problem. Oh no, I made myself the problem. At the newsroom on another day, Daniel at the height of his career stands before his staff, commanding the room with ease. We don't wait for stories, we take them. The younger Daniel looks so powerful, admired. Power without humility learns to take even from love. Now back to present day. Daniel's apartment at night. Daniel stares at his reflection in the cracked mirror. You're not this person. It says it like a plea. At another night, Daniel walks again. He passes places he and Lena used to go. Each one is a memory that refuses to stay quiet. He pauses outside a cafe where they first laughed together. The lights are warm inside. Couples sit close. It doesn't go in. Memory can be a map or a maze. Daniel goes to see his therapist, Dr. Naido, in his 40s, calm, attentive. He says to Daniel, why do you keep going back to places you know will hurt you? Because part of me believes I can undo what happened. You can't undo the past. You can only decide what you do with the feelings it leaves behind. And if I don't know how, then you learn. Or you let those feelings choose for you. At Daniel's apartment that night, Daniel finally listens to the voicemail. Lena's voice, tired but calm. Daniel, I need you to stop showing up. It's not healthy for either of us. Please respect this boundary. The message ends and Daniel stares at his phone. Flash forward to the community hall on present day. That night at the restaurant, that was the moment I realized I was losing control. Instead of stepping back, I tightened my grip on nothing. The students listen, some nodding slowly. The night before, it was a rainy evening. Rain streaks the pavement, street lights blow into long reflections. Daniel walks without an umbrella, letting the rain soak his jacket. His phone vibrates in his pocket, he ignores it. Daniel goes to a small bar with muted music, low lights. He sits alone at the counter, untouched drink in front of him. The bartender watches him with quiet concern. You okay, mate? I will be. The bartender nods, unconvinced. Daniel stares at his reflection in the mirror behind the bottles, a fractured version of himself. Isolation doesn't begin when you're alone. It begins when you stop letting anyone see you. In the newsroom years earlier, Daniel leads a meeting, confident, decisive. Applause breaks out as a big story lands. He once believed control meant competence. Now, control feels like the only thing keeping him from disappearing. Back to present. At the night, Daniel's phone lights up. A message from Lena. Please stop contacting me. He doesn't reply. He drains the drink. Finally, the bitterness seems to ground him. I just want to explain. If she understands, she'll come back. Flash forward, the community hall in present day. The night before everything fell apart. Nothing dramatic happened. No shouting, no final message. Just me, my thoughts, and the lie that one more conversation would fix everything. Students sit in heavy silence. Flashback. To Cape Town in the morning. The city is waking. Buses ease at stops. Vendors arrange fruit. The air is cool and restless. Daniel stands across the street from Lena's apartment building. He hasn't slept. His jacket is creased. His eyes are tired. He checks his phone. No new messages. He takes a deep breath, steps forward, stops, steps back. He rubs his face, steadying himself. After a moment, he crosses the street and enters the building. He raises his hand to knock, hesitates, knocks anyway. He knocks again, softer. The door opens. Lena stands there in a loose sweater, hair tied back, surprised and guarded. Daniel! I asked you not to come here. I know. I just need 5 minutes. No, you don't. She starts to close the door. Daniel places his hand against it, not forceful, but firm enough to stop it. Don't! Daniel removes his hand immediately. I'm sorry, I didn't mean. You always mean to cross the line and then apologize after. A neighbor's door opens down the hall. The neighbor glances over, curious. Lena lowers her voice. You can't keep showing up like this. I just want to talk. I'll stand here. I won't come in. Lena studies him. He looks smaller than she remembers, tired and steady. Alright, 2 minutes, then you leave. She steps aside just enough to let him stand in the doorway. He doesn't cross the threshold. I'm trying to get help. I started seeing someone, a therapist. That's good. I'm glad you're taking care of yourself. I wouldn't be here if I didn't think this mattered. This doesn't matter anymore. What matters is that you respect what I asked for. Daniel nods, swallowing. I know I messed things up. I know I pushed too hard. I don't know how to let go of something that felt like my whole life. That's exactly the problem. I was never meant to be your whole life. Daniel looks down, absorbing that. Can you at least tell me if there's someone else? Lena exhales, tired. That's not your business. It matters to me. Your feelings don't give you access to my life. Daniel nods again, but his jaw tightens. I just need to understand how you moved on so fast. Lena, I didn't move on fast. I started letting go while we were still together. The words land hard. Daniel's eyes flicker with hurt. So I was alone even when I wasn't. You were surrounded. You just weren't listening. Silence stretches between them. Moments later, Daniel says, if I promise to stop coming by, can we at least end this without anger? We already ended it. What you're asking for is comfort. Is that so wrong? From me? Yes. I'm sorry. I believe you, but belief doesn't fix patterns. You need to leave now. Daniel hesitates, then steps back into the hall. Take care of yourself. You too. Daniel returns to his apartment, enters his room. The smallness of the space feels suffocating. He drops his keys on the table, the clatter loudly in the quiet. He sits on the edge of the bed, elbows on knees, staring at the floor. He opens the drawer. The ring box is there. He takes it out, opens it, closes it again. He presses the box into his palm until his knuckles whiten. He stands abruptly, recklessly, paces, stops, sits again. Daniel washes his face in the sink. He looks at himself in the mirror. His eyes are red. He steadies. He's breathing. Speaking out loud to himself. You heard her. You leave her alone. He nods once as if agreeing with himself. He goes out the next afternoon. He passes the cafe where he and Lena once sat together. He slows, then keeps working. He branches the bar. Daniel sits at the counter again. The bartender recognizes him. Back so soon? Just water. The bartender pours water. Daniel drinks it slowly. Long morning, long few months. The bartender nods, saying nothing more. Daniel finishes the water, leaves a few coins on the counter, and stands. Present day. Daniel stands before students and he says, "The last conversation I had with her was calm. That's what scares me most. Nothing dramatic. Just two people standing in a doorway saying goodbye." He swallows. "I thought calm meant safe. I was wrong." That same evening at the community hall, the hall is modest, with the banner Second Chances Youth Outreach. A small crowd of teenagers and young adults murmur. Some are distracted, some curious. At the front sits Daniel, calm but heavy-eyed, the former editor that's just been recently released. Beside him is Pastor Mtembo, warm-grounded. "Pastor, we're grateful you're here. Not many people are brave enough to tell their story the way Daniel has chosen to. Listen, you don't have to agree with everything, just listen." Daniel steps forward. He grips the microphone with both hands. "I used to believe love meant possession. I thought if I loved someone deeply enough, they couldn't leave me. A few things exchange looks. I was wrong. Love that cages is not love. It's fear dressed up as devotion." A girl, about 16, in the front row raises her hand. "So you're here to tell us not to love too much?" "No, I'm here to tell you not to confuse love with control. There is a difference, a dangerous one." A boy, at about 18, with his arms crossed, skeptical, says, "People say that after they mess up, then they blame emotions." "I'm not blaming emotions," says Daniel. "I'm blaming my choices. I chose not to get help. I chose to ignore my jealousy. I chose to believe I owned another human being's heart." The room quiet. Pastor Mtembo, "What happens when someone walks away from you, Daniel? You grieve. You hurt. You talk to someone," says Daniel. "You don't turn pain into punishment for them." A woman from the back says, "Why should we listen to you? You have done terrible things." Daniel nods. "You're right. I have. I don't get to erase that. I don't get to be admired for surviving prison. I only get to tell you what not to become." Jealousy starts small. A question, a suspicion. Then it becomes monitoring. Then control, then range. If you don't confront it early, it will grow teeth. The girl leans forward. "How did it start with you?" "With silence. I didn't say I was afraid of losing her. I pretended I was strong, but inside, I was unraveling." Pastor Mtembo says, "And what would you tell your younger self now?" "I'll tell him to step away, to breathe, to ask for help, to let go before love becomes poison." Pastor Mtembo asks for questions. A few hands go up, and then the session ends. A girl approaches Leonard saying, "My boyfriend checks my phone, says it's because he loves me." Daniel meets her eyes. "That's not love. That's insecurity looking for permission." She nods, thinking. Pastor Mtembo watches, concerned but hopeful. The next day, Daniel is seen standing alone, hands in pockets. He stares at the horizon and then approaches cautiously the tail of his former fiancée, Nandi. Nandi says to Daniel, "Pastor said I might find you here." Daniel stiffens. "You don't have to talk to me." "I know." A long beat. The ocean fills the silence. "I didn't come to forgive you." "I wouldn't expect that. I came because my anger has been eating me alive, and I'm tired of carrying you inside my chest. I live with what I did every day. Not a moment goes by without it pressing on me." "Do you miss her?" "Every day. And every day I remind myself that missing her doesn't give me the right to rewrite what happened." Nandi studies him. "They say you speak to kids now." "I try to stop them from becoming who I was." "That won't bring her back." "I know." She loved deeply, but she knew when to walk away. That was her strength. You couldn't accept that." "I know." "I tried to turn her strength into betrayal." Nandi's voice cracks, but she holds it together. "You took something from us that can't be returned. I won't pretend otherwise. You don't hold me peace." No! But I hold myself the chance to stop drowning in this. She takes a breath. I won't forgive you today. Maybe not ever. But I'm choosing not to let you own the rest of my life. Daniel nods, eyes wet, but steady. That's fair. Nandi turns to leave. If you're really changing, prove it by staying changed, not by speeches. By how you live when no one is watching. I will try. She walks away. Leonard remains, watching the waves. Pastor Tembo appears at distance, giving Daniel space. Wow. That's it from KCA Production. So quiet, pretty, really emotional. Well, some mistakes cannot be undone. Some losses cannot be reversed. But accountability can be chosen. And the cycle of harm can be broken. If this story made you uncomfortable, it was meant to. If it made you reflect, it has done its job. Let us learn to walk away from what poisons us. Let us learn to seek help before we break ourselves and others. Dedicated to victims of emotional abuse and those learning to choose healthier paths. This is KCA Production. Subscribe for more powerful stories, documentaries, and themes that matter. Again, please subscribe to KCA Production. Like, drop a comment in the comment section, and share this video. See you again for more interesting stories. Thank you. Bye.